कृष्ण दर्शनायरा भाग्ये होइयाचे एक भारा वर्णानाभ जलाधरा सिरेसी की पिच्चा भरा अलका तिलका शोभ पाया वर्णानाभ जलाधरा सिरेसी की पिच्चा भरा अलका तिलका शोभ पाया परिधान पीतावसा वदने मधुरा हसा हेन रूप जगत मातया परिधान पीतावसा वदने मधुरा हसा हेन रूप जगत मातया जनमा सफलतरा कृष्ण दर्शनायर जन्म सफलतरा कृष्ण दर्शनायर भाग्ये होइयाचे एक भारा इंद्रानीलजिनी कृष्णा रूपकानी इंद्रानीलजिनी कृष्णा रूपकानी हेरिया कदंबा मूले हेरिया कदंबा मूले मनावुचटाना न चले चरणा मनावुचाटाना न चले चराणा संसारा गेला मा भूले मनावुचटाना न चले चराणा संसारा गेला मा भूले जन्म सफलतरा कृष्ण दर्शनायरा भाग्ये होइयाचे एक भारा सुधामया से रूप माधुरी देखिले नयाना आया चेटाना सुधामया से रूप माधुरी देखिले नयना हाये आचेतना जारे प्रेम माया भरी जारे प्रेम माया भरी जन्म सफलतरा कृष्ण दर्शनायरा भाग्ये होइयाचे एक भारा किबा चूडसीरे किबा वंशिकारे किबे श्रुतिभंगातामा किबा चूडसीरे किबा वंशिकारे किबे श्रुतिभंगातामा चरणा कमाले अमिया अमिया भुचाले चरण कमाले अमिया भुचाले तहतेनु पूरा धामा चरण कमाले अमिया भुचाले तहतेनु पूरा धामा जन्म सफलतरा कृष्ण दर्शनायरा भाग्ये होइयाचे एक भारा सदा आशा करी भृंगा रूपधारी सदा आशा करी भृंगा रूपधारी चरण कमाले स्तना चरण कमाले स्तना अनायास पै कृष्ण गुण गाई अनायास पै कृष्ण कृष्ण गुण गाई Aranabhajiba ana, Aranabhajiba ana. Janama safalatara Krishna darashanayara Bhage hoiyache ekabhara Bikasiya hrunnayana Kari Krishna darashana Chade jiva chitter bikara Bikasiya hrunnayana Kari Krishna Dharashana Chade Jiva Chitter Bikara Krishna He 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 Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna 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 Janama Safala Tara Krishna Darashanayara Bhage hoiyache ekabhara. Hare Krishna. His birth is successful, whose good fortune dawns so as to have the vision of Lord Krishna just once. When the Jiva gives up all delusions of mind, then only he'll be able to see the vision of Krishna blooming within the eyes of his heart. He sees Krishna there fully decorated with garlands of forest flowers as the most expert connoisseur of all the amorous love sports of Vrindavana. His transcendental playing wonderfully on his flute mellows and is the abode of all form bent in three bent places. He is the reservoir of all relishable virtual qualities. By such a beautiful form, he is maddening the entire universe. His complexion is like that of a fresh new rain cloud. His head is decorated with a big peacock feather, and his sandalwood tilaka on his forehead is most becoming. Wearing brilliant yellow colored garments, he stands with his face decorated by a wide, sweet smile. Beholding him standing thusly at the edge of Kadamba grave, I can see that Krishna's beauty is conquering the luster of an entire mine of sapphires. Seeing this, my mind has become so restless that feet, my feet no longer will move no longer, and I have completely forgotten about my family and home life in this world. Oh Saki, oh dear girlfriend, seeing that sweet form abounding in the nectar, I have fallen unconscious as a fountain of tears born of ecstatic love cascades from my eyes. What a wonderful crown upon his head. What a wonderful flute he is holding in his hand. What a wonderfully beautiful form as he stands in his threefold bending posture. The nectar of his lotus feet is overflowing with the tinkling sound coming from the clusters of ankle bells which are decorating them. Accepting the form of a honey bee, I always hope for a residence near his lotus feet. And I will get it very easily because I always sing the glories of Krishna, adoring no one else. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much for the seva opportunity. I have finished, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So wonderful, wonderful. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome back. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshun Militam Yena तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सगणरघुनाथान् वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सगण ललिता श्री विशाखावितंश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम पदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतिशय नमः। O most beneficent incarnation, you are Krishna himself appearing as Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden complexion of Srimati Radharani, and you are widely displaying pure love of Krishna. I offer, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Krishna Varnam Tisha Krishnam Sangopangostra Parshadam Yagnai Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Su Medasam. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead who constantly sings the names of Krishna. He is, although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, uh, weapons, and confidential companions. Nana Sastra Vicharnaik Nipunau Shadadharma Samstapakau Lokanam Hitakarinau Tribhuane Manyau Sharanyakarau Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Ananden Mattalikau Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugau Shri Jiva Gopalakau. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatana Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizing and studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed, they are engaged in the I'm sorry. Thus, they are honored all over the worlds, three worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Shri Radha and Krishna, and they are in the mood of the gopis. Hare Krishna. Om Agyanati. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskritya Narom Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamam Bhajami. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Shri Prabhupada. Welcome back, everyone. So, we have been hearing from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Sri Jaiva Dharma. And yesterday we did lesson 15. I'm sorry, lesson 16. 16 I'm doing today. So 15 we did that. So before I begin lesson 16, let's hear the recap of lesson 15. Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna,
Good
Dharma
morning.
Pranam, Mataji.
Yes, we are going to Sri Jaiva Dharma, and yesterday His Grace Charuchandra Prabhuji dealt with chapter 10 and lesson 15, which titled as Nitya Dharma, that is eternal, and the history of it. So in this lesson 15, so it had 4 themes. It included the introduction of the 2 principal characters, uh, so as to explain the historical status of Vaishnavism, then description of the 2 kinds of Vaishnava religion, the debate which was taken up between Vaishnav Das Babaji and Sri Nyayaratna. So in this introduction of the 2 principal characters, Sri Harihar Bhattacharya and Sri Chaturbhuj Nyayaratna. So they are introduced. So about the introduction of Harihar Bhattacharya, who is the devotee of Lord, who is the resident of Agradweep, who is an initiated devotee, initiated Vaishnava and worshipper of Lord Krishna. But confused since he heard 2 different versions of the Vaishnava religion. Okay, so about first, yes, there are so many Durga worshippers who do worship Durga Devi, and they do think that Vaishnava religion is modern in its origin and there is no substance in the reality. So some worship by chanting Vaishnava mantras, but the goal was impersonal liberation and become Brahman. All of these were the Panchopasaks. Then second, after the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, assumed a new form with no goal of impersonal liberation nor Brahman realization. So there's 2 kinds, that is A and B. So which Vaishnavism existed before? So is it that Lord Chaitanya invented this now? So approached Sri Nairatna. It's we can get the background of Nairatna, Chaturbhuj Nairatna. So he's resident of Katila, and since long 20 years he's been academic scholar, but is not intended to worship Lord Krishna, but is follower of Durga Devi, and he thinks that when only Durga Devi is worshipped, he thinks that Lord is worshipped. So it is the background of Nairatna. So Tarka Chudamani spoke the truth. So when I hear the words of this Vaishnava fools, my whole body burns with anger. So they do get angry when such Vaishnava philosophy is getting explained, because Tarka Chudamani used to give the lectures against Vaishnavism. And he thinks that this Vaishnava religion is hardly 100 years old. So when Harihar proposed for him to debate with the Vaishnava scholars of Godrum, so Nairatna feared that he may meet the same fate as Krishna Chudamani. So therefore, while he will go there in disguise, he instructed Harihar to proceed as a scholar and kindle the fire of this debate. So accompanied by Nairatna, the other scholars, Harihar arrived at Sri Pradyumna Kunja. They were greeted by Advait Das. So there goes on the debate between Vaishnav Das Babaji, who is disciple of Premadas Babaji, and Sri Nairatna. So here the debate went like that. Is the Vaishnava religion ancient or modern? Yes. Vaishnava religion, it is eternal and it existed always. So there are two kinds of Vaishnava religion, which is eternal. So the two of those, the second kind is the real Vaishnava. It is the eternal one. And as A, the Vaishnava name only is there so as to collect the lives. Since Vaishnava religion is the philosophy that has been introduced by Sri Chaitanya, then how it is eternal? Okay, so it has been refuted that the four Vedas, the Smriti Shastras, and Vedic history, that is Itihasas, all they do glorify Vaishnava religion. So, in support to this, it was answered. It was asked that since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared just 150 years back, so then how the first teacher of this kind of religion, then how it can be eternal as it is hardly 150 years old. So we know that as per the Shastras, it has been mentioned, whether it is been Mundaka Upanishad, whether it is Shvetar Upanishad. So, so as we know, the individual soul is uh, Anadi, beginningless, and so is Vaishnava religion also. It is Anadi. Okay. And it was first of all given to Brahma by Lord Krishna in Chatushloki Bhagavatam, we can understand. And it has been mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9.33 also. So Brahma is demigod, who is the creator of the universe and protector of the worlds. To his son Atharva, he says that how Lord is supreme. So lotus feet of Lord Vishnu are the supreme objective of all demigods. So it has been there, Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam. So the glorious supreme personality of Godhead alone rules the creatures. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is real, eternal, limitless, and all knowing. So it has been supported in Taittiriya Upanishad. So if one worships, if one is associated with Lord, then all his desires will get fulfilled. Then with this, as per this, that Vishnu Paramam Padam. So as per this verse, which describes the kind of Vaishnava religion, so whether it has been supported that it is not the Vaishnava religion which follows Mayavad philosophy, impersonalism. So Mayavad philosophy, it has been rejected as it is explaining that a person himself becomes the supreme. The Supreme Lord is not attained by just intelligence. If you have by-hearted sloka, it doesn't mean that Lord will be pleased. So Lord gets pleased with the surrender and the service as per the Katha Upanishad, and he manifests himself with his form. So it is this form which has been, which can be relished by the devotees. The service and surrender to Lord are the only true religion and which has been supported in this Vaishnava philosophy, which has been introduced by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which has been re-enunciated undoubtedly, and which has been taught by Vedas. So, is there any support that the Maya philosophy or impersonal knowledge uh, is not the highest attainment? Yes, it is a Krishna which has been found in Vedas. Okay, whether it is in Taittiriya Upanishad, whether it is Chandogya Upanishad, so whether it's Rig Veda. So it has been there that it is a cowherd boy who will never die. Or like I attain Lord Krishna, I do surrender to Sri Radha. To attain Sri Radha, I do surrender to Lord Krishna. So it is the explanation which is being given. So in the question, like there are twisted interpretations about the history of Vaishnava religion, but one can understand that how Vaishnavism, it has been brought from Lord to Brahmaji, then Prajapatis, Narada, Vyas, and so on. And it is being continued in ISKCON also with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So it is Mahabharata, Ramayana, and Puranas, which all this Vedic civilization do support the history of Vaishnavism. So all these Vaishnavas from very beginning, like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, Manu's sons, and hundreds of others, it's a Sun dynasty, Moon dynasty, and in all yugas, whether it's been Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, or in Kali Yuga also, we can see Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarkacharya, they have taught us Vaishnava religion. So Prahlad Maharaj is also pure devotee of Lord. So, in the question, like, if the Vaishnava religion existed from time immemorial, then what is new with this religion which has been taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that simply by chanting the holy name, one can attain the highest goal of human form of life, which is love of God. So then why do the learned Pandits not like it? Okay. So there are no learned Pandits basically in Kali Yuga as per Vedic Shastra. So there are Brahmanas who are not in the mode of goodness, and they are, as if they are born in exalted families, that doesn't mean they are devotees or Vaishnava. So it has been asked, why too many low class people embrace Vaishnava religion? So Vaishnavas, they are the good candidates for their mercy. They are the persons who are intoxicated with false pride of caste, wealth. They cannot be humble, but Vaishnavas, they are humble. In the post break session, we saw that why there is no respect for Shankaracharya in our Vaishnava philosophy, in the spiritual knowledge. So Prabhuji said that yes, Shankaracharya is the incarnation of Lord Krishna, Lord Shiva himself, but we do not dishonor him as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us. We have given him the title of Acharya, but he didn't accepted our philosophy, but he spread the Mayavad philosophy, and it has been covered with Buddhism. And as it has been distorted, Shankaracharya distorted the true meaning of Vedas, Vedanta, and Bhagavad Gita. So we do consider that philosophy as the uh, philosophy of impersonal God. And so it was needed to control the demons, and so only for the short time being it was introduced. So why do Maya philosophy is against the teaching of Vedas and Vedanta Shastra? So um, so Maya the philosophy, it falls flat, so as to answer it. So why do the Vaishnavas have faith only in the prasadam of Lord Vishnu and not that of demigods and demigoddesses? Vaishnavas do not dishonor or disrespect demigods, demigoddesses, and their prasadam also. Whosoever are the servants and serves Lord Krishna, who is the supreme personality of Godhead, the remnants of prasadam will be accepted by the devotees, and that has been considered so as to attain the pure devotional service of the Lord. So if even if impersonalist worships demigod and offers, it will not be called as the prasadam, and Lord will also not, even demigods will not accept that worship as it has not been offered to Lord. So if a pure Vaishnava offers prasadam, remnant of Sri Krishna, to the demigods, they will really accept it. So one is needed to understand this fine things, how Vaishnava philosophy it is great. So it has been given in Shastras also. The animal sacrifices, they are rejected in the scriptures, in as well as in the Shastras. The scriptures do not teach us so as to kill the animals. Uh, Even it is been so as to curb the propensities in Kali Yuga also. The several things like marriage with woman, okay, killing animals in sacrifice and drinking litter, and some ceremonies it has been prescribed. So um, as per spiritual injunctions, the sex in sacred marriage, meditating through sacrificial offerings, and for intoxication through the acceptance of ritual cups of wine. Such ceremonies are meant for ultimate purpose of renunciation. So, our Vaishnava philosophy, rather than pravritti mark, it prescribes the greatest treasure, that is a nivritti mark, that is detachment, which has been explained in Manu Samhita also. The Vaishnavas, they do perform the Shraddha and rituals and repay the debts to their ancestors. So whether, why do they do it? So it is a karma kind which has been said to follow. So when one has faith in in the Lord Hari and his holy name, one can be a Vaishnava and there is no need to follow it. So as long as one is not saturated with fruitive activities and have not awakened the test with the devotional service, then one can act, one will have to act according to the regulative principles of Vedic injunctions. So, with such answers, so everybody becomes satisfied, says Jai Sachinandan, and leaves this meeting happily. So, Hare Krishna. Then we'll go today for lesson 16 about how Nitya Dharma is eternal and eternal, and deity worship today by His Grace Charishan. Hare.
Wonderful, Mataji. Thank you so much. As always, so excellent way you do it. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol, welcome back. So, as Mataji set a stage for lesson 16, so another great debate we are going to hear this time between a Vaishnav Babaji and a Muslim scholar. But he's a saintly personality. That is what. Let me set up my sharing my screen. Hmm. Everybody can see my slide here, my screen.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Raksha Mataji. Good to see back. So today, so I'll go straight here. So here, as you can see, this is the. I'm trying to get a full screen. Won't go. Let me try again. It won't show up full screen. Sorry about that. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Won't.
We can see screen, Prabhuji.
Okay, all right. So there are three themes in this chapter 11, lesson 16. Again, we are going to be introduced by the debaters, Vaishnav Pandita Gorachandra Babaji, Gorachand Babaji. He is the resident of Mayapur. And then we are going to be introduced the saintly Mula. Mula means the Dharma Guru, of Muslim religion, Badruddin Sahib, and we'll be hearing the debate between Gorachanda Babaji, a Muslim scholar, is going to ask some questions, especially the debate issue is about the deity worship, what they call as an idol worship, butte, that because deity is made of material elements, so that's the reason why Muslims forbid that in their Quran. So here, Gorachanda Babaji is going to defend and showing to make a clear distinction that this is not idol worship, but actually the deity worship, and we worship the spiritual personality of the Godhead. That is what we are going to see. In the previous one of the lessons that we already heard, a Muslim Qazi, and how and they are also saintly personalities, and how they were talking about that too. In so many great similarities are there. So this is again we are going to hear that. Okay. I wish we could show that full slide from.
Prabhuji, did you go to in the slideshow? In the slideshow, you changed the setting, Prabhu?
Say that again. What did you say?
In the slideshow, did you click that from starting or from beginning or from the current slide, and is it showing all right?
Yeah, that's it's the full screen is not showing. Let me try again. And I don't want to waste too much time. So I'm going to put in the menu, set slide show, and then I go to the current slide. And it should expand. It should extend.
Still showing.
I'm sorry, say it again.
No, it's still showing small one only. Give me 1 second, I'll check.
Yeah. It won't. Let me come back again in just a minute, okay?
Prabhuji, can you go to design? Okay. Prabhuji, can you just go to design? Design, and on the here on the right side, after all the designs, you see something called screen size. Last here, Prabhu. Complete on the right side, screen size. Yeah. There's like slide size. Slide size you see. Yeah. Slide size. Yeah. Click there and try widescreen. Or you click standard, Prabhu, and see. Once, go to design. Go to design, go to slide size. Just click standard. Either maximum or ensure fit, both you can try. You can try maximum now. No, it's not working. So Prabhu, you do one thing, you proceed, Prabhu. We'll use our Zoom options to increase the screen size and we'll review them. You continue, Prabhu. Do you also get on the top view options, Prabhu, in the Zoom? In the Zoom. This one, I don't know. I'm unable to understand what went wrong. Charu Prabhu, we can't hear you, Prabhu.
Yeah, I cannot hear also.
Charu Prabhu, we can't hear you, Prabhu.
It was a mute. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu, we can hear you
Okay.
now.
I'm so many things are going on today.
See, Prabhuji, you just show as it is, it's coming to you, Prabhu, don't worry, because from the Zoom options, we can increase the size. In the view options, we'll increase and see it, Prabhu. So you
Okay.
continue as it is if you are comfortable.
Okay, so what I've discussed so far, that this Muslim mullah is approaching the great gathering of Babajis, Vaishnava Babajis, and they were ecstatically dancing and singing the glories of Mahaprabhu. And this Babaji stated his purpose. He wanted to have a discourse, debate of certain points that he wanted to talk. And main point revolves around the Vaishnavas. They follow this deity worship, which is banned, which is forbidden in Quran. So he wanted to know what is the reason why it is so, So that is the topic. So in this slide, what you see, the debate is just about to start. Okay? Gorachand Babaji is going to represent the Vaishnava side, and the Mullah is going to talk about what Quran says. So the main question here, it's a 3-point question, threefold kind of question. The main question is, why don't your scriptures, Vaishnava scriptures, reject this butte worship? And he's going to explain what is butte worship. That is actually the way I understood. It seems like a idol worship, means that the Lord, Supreme Lord, is so humans have no capacity to describe the form of the Lord. According to Quran, the Supreme Lord, Allah, what they call, has no form. Just like the Mayavadis say that, impersonal aspect of it. So how do you create an imaginary form of the Supreme Lord made of material elements, and then you worship? In Quran, it's forbidden, actually, So that idol worship, what in the Quran is mentioned as butte worship. Okay, so it's the idol worship. But now the Vaishnava Babaji is going to make a clear distinction between idol worship and the deity worship. The fundamental difference that idol worship is, of course, worshipping the material form of the Lord, whereas in deity worship, we see the spiritual form of the Lord. Even though the deity is made of material elements, but the devotees see the spiritual aspect of the Supreme Lord. That's the main thing that we are going to hear. And now the Babaji is going to give scriptural foundation also. Okay, so this particular main question has 3 components. So I'm going to talk about like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. So question 1, part 1, 2, 3. So in part 1 is the description. Mullah is explaining why do Hindu scriptures instruct worshipping scores of demigods and demigoddesses, 33 crores, So, and many people who are not familiar, they also get confused. So actually academic scholars describe that as a polytheistic religion, but that is not the reality actually. So here he says, Quran says that Allah is only one. And of course, Vaishnavas also say the supreme personality of Godhead is only one. Okay, but there are so many demigods and demigoddesses, but they are the empowered administrators of the universe appointed by the Supreme Lord, and they are all servants of the Supreme Lord. That many people do not understand that. So this mullah also had a wrong conception of that Hinduism in general. So So that is the point that he's asking, and we are going to hear how Gorachanda Babaji is going to remove those misconceptions about that. Okay, so first I'm in this particular slide that what you see is a three-fold question. So the second point in that, Mullah is saying to worship and meditate on Allah's imaginary form is the work of Satan, us, and thus great offense you are committing. And we call that, the Muslims call as a beaut worship, which is forbidden in Quran and is subject to punishment by Allah. You know, the third point, that third segment of that main question is that Muslim Mullah is saying that we heard that your first preacher, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, took all the faults out of this Hindu religion. Main thing is polytheistic, and presenting a correct version that the Supreme Lord is only one, Bhagavan Shri Krishna, but all the demigod and demigoddesses are his servants, empowered servants to run the universe, administer the universe. However, Mullah is pointing out that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu still favored this beaut worship. And again, there he has a wrong conception. That's not what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. Again, there's a distinction between the idol worship and the demigod worship and the deity worship. So now we are going to hear the explanation, detailed explanation by Gorachanda Babaji, Pandit Gorachanda Babaji, with respect to all these 3 points of the main question. So the point 1, the first part, why do Hindu scriptures instruct worshipping scores of demigods and demigoddesses? And Quran says that Allah is only one, not two, and he has no form. In that background, please explain what your Vaishnava scriptures say. So first point, Gorachanda Babaji makes that what you call Allah, we call Bhagavan. Now the meaning of Allah, they say Allah Akbar, right? Allah Akbar means Allah is great. So that greatness is the quality that the Muslims think it's great. That's what they worship as Allah is, because He's great, greatest of great. Allah, Allahu Akbar. So Babaji is saying that the Bhagavan, what we call, that best expresses all the qualities of him, not just one quality. Greatness is just one of the quality. Okay. He has 6 opulences. Bhagavana. Vana means who is the possessor. Possessor of this Bhaga. Bhaga means opulence. There are 6 kinds of opulences are there. The 2 noteworthy features is this is opulence and his sweetness. The second point Babaji is making, that we do not call the superiority of Allah's best qualities. You say Allah is great, okay? There is one of the quality only, okay? But just because it's greatness, that does not give the full explanation of Bhagavan. Because Krishna, just as is greatest of great, then he actually, the whole universe is coming out from him, okay? The whole, and multiple universes are coming out from him. But at the same time, he is the smallest of the small also. He is in even the every atom of the universe. So that is also inconceivable potence of the Lord that we recognize. So greatness is one, but that Bhagavan is not limited to explanation of one quality only. The smallest of the small, also atomic size. Even within the atom, the Lord is present at the same time because of his inconceivable potency, and that he is the master of all the potencies. That is his second feature. So that point is raising very beautifully. The third point is Babaji is raising, that it is this inconceivable potency that Bhagavan is both personal and impersonal. Okay, and in his personal form, he enacts the sweet pastimes with his devotees. Simply hearing that, we come to the sattva guna. Okay, these are these personal features of personal form. But then in his impersonal form, that is according to his potencies, are in his impersonal form, and that is beyond touch of matter. So right there, he nullifies the argument of the Mula. Mula said that you're worshiping Butte. Butte means material from the Lord you're worshiping. But Babaji is saying right here that we do not uh, worship matter, because the Lord is beyond. There's not a tinge of matter within the Supreme Lord. He is all spiritual, and we worship the spiritual form of the Lord. Okay? So there is right there, we are not worshiping what you call beaut or material form of the Lord. He is all spiritual. Even though he does create material universe through his impersonal potency, external potency. And that is what created the confusion in the mind of the mullahs, and many even within Hindus, they also don't understand that the idol worship is actually the material form. So this is the way he's answering the first segment of that main question. Now we are going to see the second point. The second point is this, 1.2. To worship and meditate on Allah's imaginary form is the work of Satan, and thus great offense. We call it beaut worship, which is forbidden in Quran and subject to punishment by Allah. So to counter that, Babaji is presenting this way. According to Vaishnava philosophy, the worship of the all spiritual form of Bhagavan is not beaut. Again, reiterate that main point. And so it's not an idol worship. We are not making idol of Bhagavan. Okay? We worship the spiritual form, even though it is made of material elements, but we do not worship that material form of the Lord. We worship the spiritual form of the Lord that is within that material element, made of material elements. Prana Pratishtha, So now Babaji is quoting some scriptural references. Bhagavad Gita says, they who worship matter remain in the material world. Krishna himself says that. Okay. So when a person, and this is from Bhagavatam, when a person purifies his heart by hearing and singing pure songs describing me means Krishna, he gradually becomes able to see spiritual form. So deity is made of material elements, but the devotee who is purified, okay, by devotional service, he can perceive this all spiritual form of the Lord within that deity form of the Lord, which may be made of these material elements, but the devotee does not see that. Devotee sees the spirituality of the Supreme Lord within that form. So it is not idol worship, it's not beaut worship. And he becomes like a person whose eyesight is restored by medicinal ointment. That third point, however, human beings are situated. So now Babaji is making some points why that possible confusion is there. Because all humans are not same. Some are highly intelligent, possessing spiritual knowledge and the purity of the heart. They can very readily perceive the Lord's spiritual form in the deity worship. Okay, that is what they worship, the spiritual form. But the people who are not that knowledgeable, neophytes, okay, and their heart is not yet pure, it's still contaminated with material dirt, then they, for their purpose, this deity worship is given. So unlike those in the lower knowledge of purity, the person who is knowledgeable and his heart is purified by devotional service, they can spiritual form, but not the neophytes. Okay, so for there to develop their spirituality, this duty worship is recommended. So in an ordinary person, if an ordinary person who wants to see God is not able to see the deity from the Lord, that you Muslims are rejecting that, then he would have lose all hope of ever being able to see the Lord. The followers of religion that forbid deity worship are now on a low level of spiritual advancement. So very, very in a gentle way, Babaji is criticizing back to the mullah, that actually the deity worship is the foundation of a bona fide religion. Any bona fide religion should have this deity worship so that the neophytes can be trained by continued service of the deity under the guidance of the scriptures and under the guidance of a spiritual master. Then will gradually will be able to learn and see making connection with the Lord spiritual form in that deity. Okay, because in the beginning he's not able to see that. The third point, now Babaji is going to counter. The third point, mullahs are saying, we heard that your first preacher, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, took all the faults out of the Hindu religion. Okay, first that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told us that all the clear distinction between the demigods and demigoddesses and the position of the Supreme Lord. The demigods are actually the empowered administrators of the universe. They are all servant of the Lord. So that misunderstanding was removed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then, so Mullah is pointing out, however, he still favored this deity worship, what we call butte worship. How would you answer that? No. So Babaji is giving the answer, Gorachanda Babaji. The spirit soul by nature is an eternal servant of the Lord Krishna. So we all are part and parcel. We are part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is all spiritual. Constitutively, as we also as a spirit soul, we are also part and parcel of Krishna. Okay? That's the point number one. Then the root of the soul's offense is that he has forgotten that when we forget Krishna, when we came to the material world, then what happens? Somehow or other, he should turn back his mind that he has forgotten. That is always there in a dormant form. He has to revive that. And for revival, deity worship is recommended. So his mind has to think of the Lord to revive his eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord, and he is meant to serve Krishna. So Chaitanya's Mahaprabhu's greatest gift to the mankind is that simply by chanting the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Gradually his heart is becoming purified. And all the other rest of the elements of the Navada Bhakti, ninefold devotional service, with deity worship is one of that. Soul gradually revives his original spiritual nature, so that forgetfulness is slowly being replaced by remembering back again the Lord, his Sambandha Jnana, and he is the spirit soul and part and parcel, and is meant to serve Krishna. That is gradually being revived by doing this deity worship. Thus, serving the deity of the Lord enables that neophyte to make spiritual advancement gradually. Then he also, just like advanced devotees, he also can begin to see the spiritual form of the Lord in the deity that is worshipping under proper guidance. Okay. So again, Babaji is pointing out that you are mischaracterizing deity worship as idol worship, what you call butte worship. Butte means material form. We are not worshipping material form. Okay. So he has answered question number 1, all the 3 points. Now we'll go through the other questions. There are totally 6 questions. So let's take a short break here. Okay. So now, uh, see, this is the problem. This is a very, if it is a full slide is shown, we could see that clearly, no? So now question number 2 and 3. Okay. Let me see if so question number 2 is that, is it not better to meditate on an imaginary form within a mind, because our mind knows the form of the Lord that we imagine? Then let us, the Muslim is saying, Mullah is saying, that would it not be better to mentally worship the Lord? And that's what they do actually, rather than making an imaginary deity out of some material elements. So Babaji is answering, and the time and space, and this is a very important point actually. Time and space are all material. Okay. So if the mind's meditation is not beyond time and space, then how can the mind meditate on something that is beyond time and space? And spirituality is beyond time and space. Okay. So mentally, when you're talking about meditating, it's still within the purview of time and space. Particular time you're meditating, and a given space that you're doing that. So it's still on a material platform. So there is no difference. What you criticize, that deity worship as idol worship, and the mental thing that what you're talking about, still going to be the same then, if you're thinking like that. And second point, rejecting the deity form made of matter, you meditate on an imaginary form of the Lord that you create mentally. Mentally, you're creating the image of the Lord. Okay. A form made of time and space. It is the Lord's nature that He's all spiritual. You're not going to be able to see that. You're not going to be able to perceive that way. Even mentally, also, you're not going to do it. No. Therefore, a process is given in our Vaishnava scriptures, gives a process how you can see and visualize, or at least perceive, the spiritual form of the Lord in a deity made of material elements. By how do you do that? By constantly chanting the holy name. Okay. Then Lord will gradually purify. He will give you the divya drashti, spiritual vision to see Him in spiritual. Another point that is not mentioned here is that because we have this material body and Lord wants to accept our service, so that is the reason Lord came in that form to accept our service actually. This is another reason is also given elsewhere. So therefore a process is given to the conditioned soul by which they can approach the spiritual world, the spiritual Lord, all spiritual Lord, spiritual aspect of it. By giving that vision, by chanting the holy name, you are cleansing your heart. All the material dirt is removed. Then your vision is improved. You get a new vision, divya drashti, divya vision that you can see, transcendental vision. Then you can begin to see. So all the deities who are more and more advanced by devotional service, then he sees the deity made of material elements, but he does not see the material elements in it. He sees there is a Lord is personally residing in that deity, his spiritual form. The Lord is all pure spiritual, and he connects with that. The fourth point, by chanting the Lord's holy name, hearing and narrating his pastimes, so all this Navada Bhakti, okay, and by worshipping his deity form, one gradually becomes devoted to the Lord. And of course, when the deity is installed in the temple, the Brahmanas, according to the Vedic injunction, they do prana pratishtha. They invite the Lord to take place in that deity, the deity made of material elements, but nonetheless, Lord, all spiritual, he takes, he's invited to take the position in prana pratishtha way when the Brahmanas they do that particular slokas and everything. Okay. And the last point, when the worshipper attains pure devotion, he can see the spiritual form of the Lord in his deity. You develop when you worship the deity in your home. Every devotee should have a deity to worship, and daily when you do that, you develop a relationship with that deity as if personally is there, uh, and that is the experience of all the devotees. Okay, the question number 3, the Supreme Lord is different from matter, and Satan introduced the worship of material things to trap the souls in the material world. Because if you do this idol worship again, then Mula is still in that wrong conception. When he calls beaut worship, he is still talking about idol worship. Okay, in spite of Babaji explain all these things. So he is saying that when you do this thing, beaut worship, continue doing that, then the Satan he introduced the worship of the material things to trap their soul in the material world. You will never become liberated. You'll never get out of material existence. That is the reason Quran says no, you should not do that. So why do you think it is good to worship the material things? So again, same thing is repeating. So Babaji is again now taking a different approach to make him understand. So first of all, he says Satans do not have power to do anything against the will of the Supreme Lord. First thing you notice that. And so there is no such thing as Satan to our understanding. Therefore, Satan does not exist. We don't believe that. It is the soul's forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with him that is the one that is preventing him. And that he is the Lord, the eternal Lord's servant. That realization must come through this chanting of the holy name. And that would plant the seed of, so then he's the Lord's eternal servant. That plant the seed of sin in his heart. So instead of imagining this mythological Satan, one should realize the ignorance in his heart. That is the dirt, and that creates the sin in his heart. When the heart is not pure, sinful ideas take root in his heart. Okay? And that needs to be purified by chanting of the holy name. Therefore, even if one worship the Lord as present in the material elements, he commits no offense. So right there he negates what Mula is saying, that if you continue this beaut worship, then this Satan is going to take possession of you, and then you will never come out of this material existence of that. So he completely nullified that argument of Mula. The another point. So as such, deity worship is necessary for the neophyte devotee and the source of great auspiciousness for the advanced devotee. The scripture do not support the denial of deity worship. No scripture says that. At least in the Hindu scriptures, Vaishnava scriptures, deity worship is very, very prominent. Nowhere it is mentioned that you should not do deity worship. Unlike your Quran says that. Question number 4, 5. Question number 4. Deity worship is not good for attaining the love of God, Mula is saying, because it is simply fills the mind with many material ideas. So to counter that, Babaji is saying, many neophytes begin their spiritual life by worshiping the deity from the Lord. As they continue deity worship, again, the sadhu sangha, devotee, there is the lifeline of a devotee. Constant association with the saintly personalities who guide him, and their association will constantly help the purification process, because saintly personalities talk about chanting the holy name, and they narrate Krishna's holy transcendental pastimes, And that way, a neophyte is constantly, gradually changing, and his heart is being purified because of the sadhu sangha, who constantly gives him the guidance, right kind of guidance, and also the inspiration. Uh, Another point, when one attains spiritual love of God, the idea that the deity form is material completely vanishes. The deity does not say the deity is made of material elements. Within that materially made deity form, he actually sees, perceives the spiritual, the Lord himself, he sees that. Actually, he perceives that. As more and more purification takes place through chanting process, through the devotion, Navada Bhakti, he sees that. And that is the point the Mula is constantly missing that. So non-Aryan religions are generally opposed to deity worship because of their lack of proper understanding. They equate idol worship with deity worship. There's a gulf of difference between idol worship and deity worship. How many followers of those religions have attained spiritual love? You tell me. You don't believe that? Have how many of you in Muslim religion who actually develop spiritual love for God? Very few. So question number 5, if one already has love for God, then there is no fault in worshiping his deity form if you already have love of God, But love of God is the goal. If you already attain that goal, why you worry about all these things? However, how can the worship of a snake, monkey, etc., that you have in Hindu religion, you worship Naga Devta, monkey god, Hanumanji and all. So there is another criticism the Muslims always level. How do you worship those animal species and things like that? And that could be equated by the worshipping of the Supreme Lord. Our Prophet has specifically forbidden such beaut worship. So Babaji is again correcting him. Actually, those who have faith in the Almighty God and they bow down before the wonders that are displayed in this world. So Babaji is giving an example that when you see a gigantic, beautiful waterfall, mountains, then immediately you gives, even if you don't know about the God, but you know that God has created such wonderful things, then he develops that bhava, devotion, and appreciation that God has made such beautiful, wonderful things that there is no way humans can ever make. And following their example, even ignorant bow down because the advanced people tell them this is all created by the Supreme Lord, entire creation. So all this wonderful scenery that you see, the great 8 wonders of the Lord, 8 wonders of the world, 8 art that Jaibis, they know it is made by the Supreme Lord. So all the rivers, the mountains, or anything that is big and grand, the advanced people, spiritually advanced personalities, they guide the neophytes, and then neophytes also begins to bow down that wonders of the world. Although there is a gulf of difference between spiritual love for the Lord and the worship of material things. The bewildered people show their gratitude to the Lord by bowing down before the material things. So even though he may not be advanced enough, but seeing those wonderful scenery in the world, and the advanced people tells him that this is all the creation of the Lord, then naturally he would bow down unto those wonders, appreciating the greatness of such great like waterfall and so on, like the beautiful things like that. In US also we have so wonderful things around that. If one meditates on a formless, all-pervading God, or if without any spiritual love one offers namaz you guys pray, offer namaz, right? And you forcefully that every Muslim should pay namaz 5 days a week, 5 days a week, whether or not he has that thing. If forcefully enforce that, then how that is something like that what you accuse us that we worship animals. It is same thing like that, you know. How is that different from worshipping an animal? So one should do whatever that is necessary to evoke the love for God. You should do that. You should follow. If that neophyte is and attacked, continuously being attacked by you, by by you, then the path of gradual spiritual advancement will be blocked. It will not take place. Okay, the final slide now. Question number 6. Again, in question number 6, there are quite a few questions he's asking, but they all form in one particular group. So question number 6, should then everything be God? Prophet is saying, this particular mullah is saying that you worship everyone. So everyone is God. A worship of anything is a worship of God. Is the worship of sins worshiping? So that way you would worship even the sin also. Is the worship of sinful desire worshipping of God? You equate that. Is God pleased by any kind of such worship? So of course, no. Babaji is saying, not everything is God. Rather, God is different from all else. Everything is created by God and dependent on Him. So to run smoothly the material universe, God has left with, and that's the reason all the devas and devis are there to administer the running of the universe. Everything has a relationship with Lord. A pursuit of such a relationship may lead one to become curious about the Lord. At least at the very minimum, you will begin to wonder. You become curious how this is must have taken place. This gigantic universe, the planets floating in the space, and such vastness of the universe that we measure in light years, that cannot exist just like that. It's all done by the Supreme Lord. Then you automatically develop this that wonder, that bhav that you develop, and then you bow down. You know? So at least at the very minimum, it will create a curiosity, and that curiosity itself will push you to actually taste things, actually to experience that. So this kind of curiosity gradually pushes one to try to experience what is that spirit. So you are all great Panditas. Finally, humbly, Babaji is taking a rest. He's saying that you are all great Panditas and we are just nothing but, so you are all great learned personalities, merciful and generous. So you will eventually understand these things. What is the truth of all these things? And we are very poor Vaishnavas. That comes to humility. So we are not like to enter into this kind of debates. We don't like to enter into debates until you forced us, you know. So that's it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Haribol. Sorry about that. This thing didn't work out very well.
Hare Krishna Charu Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So this is so amazing as I'm going through, and this is really a deity worship and idol worship. The difference how
the gulf of difference.
It's brought out. I think this eye-opening also. For me also learning many things out of this one. So the differences I'm hearing, and you articulate so nicely from that book. How to separate our idol worship and deity worship, and how gradually as a neophyte, and we all started, at least let me look at from a deities, how gradually we don't see, when you go and see the Toronto temple Lord, we don't see him idol, we don't see his form, we see him Krishna there, we see his smile, we see his dress, Radha running there, right? So gradually we develop. And this is a really a wonderful point, Prabhuji, and you really put a wonderful point, PowerPoints to elaborate how to gradually to develop. It's very nice. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So that's why more and more we chant and more we purify our heart. Then Lord gives us that vision, the spiritual vision. So devotees also see the deity is made of material elements, but he does not see material elements. He sees the actual presence of the Lord there.
Thank you.
And you see different bhavas in the deities. When sometimes Lord is very happy, you see his happy mood. All these things that you see in that deity. Hare Krishna. Any other points, questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is Lalita Priya. Please accept my
Yes.
humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank
You so much for a wonderful class. I mean, I really look forward to your classes every weekend. And
Thank you, Mataji.
today, with this lesson, I just wanted to comment that our Guru Maharaj left Toronto today this afternoon. So we were busy. And I see the deity worship point, I'm so inspired with how he has been carrying for all these years, all his set of shalagrams, not one or two.
Yes.
It's like a full treasure box of shalagrams and Gaurnitai, and wherever he goes, he sets up his deity altar and he gives us service, like a personal service, garland service,
Yes.
or prashads.
Every day he spends
service.
about 2 to 3 hours every morning he spends.
Exactly.
Deity worship is his fundamental things in his devotional preaching and everything.
And
by his own example he does that.
Is exactly. I'm so in awe and reverence, like how Guru Maharaj does it, and he gives an opportunity for all of us, whoever is serving at that particular place, to engage in the deity service of his. And I'm so overwhelmed to actually get an opportunity like that. And we also got like the Abhishek, the Charanamrit of all the deities and everything. Like, it's so blissful when he's here, and even so that we are learning to do how Archa Vigraha should be respected. And when we chant more and more, like you said, the Lord gives us that spiritual vision to see him not in the material form but actual form. So sometimes we might experience a glimpse of it because our heart is not totally purified.
Exactly.
That doesn't stay for us in our vision for a long time.
And did you notice whenever you go and see Guru Maharaj, when devotees come, the first thing he will tell them, have darshan of my deities. He will invite he will invite us, to see his deities. And when you see his deities, you really make progress actually. Guru Maharaj help us to develop that spiritual vision, because you worship that deities. So Krishna is right there, really literally present in his deities, the way he serves with such great devotion, and he is able to show us, gives that vision, and he especially invites anyone and whosoever comes and visit him. He will first thing he'll say that have darshan of my deities, and he'll introduce all his shilas.
He created opportunities even for the Prabhujis, like if they can do the garlands or bhog, he created an opportunity for them to read from Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita while he's doing the deity service. So everybody got some service and everybody was in the mood of deity worship. So, I mean, very, very grateful to Guru Maharaj, and please kindly bless me to stay in that same mood to continue in my services. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Mataji, I'm also on the training wheel, Thank you. I have my Bhagavad Gita, my copy of Bhagavad Gita. Guru Maharaj actually signed, his signature is there on my Gita. See that?
Yes, Prabhuji, that's wonderful.
I don't know if you can see that. Right, his signature is there.
A little bit.
It's my best wishes for your spiritual advancement. And
Prabhuji, even I have that same signature on my Bhagavad Gita.
May 14, 1998, he signed this thing.
Wow, I couldn't see it because you blurred your background, but I'm pretty sure.
Yes, what I'll do, I'll take a photocopy scanned, and I'll share with all of you.
Thank you so much.
That is my very treasured possession, this Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
And thank you so much, for your association when I was there in Washington. It was so wonderful to see you.
I was also purified by your association. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other points or questions, please? Before I turn it over.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhuji, yes.
जनरली मतलब डीटी वर्शिप जो है वो हम भगवान के साथ लविंग एक्सचेंज को हम शेयर कर सकते हैं।
Yes, संबंध ज्ञान डेवलप्स।
प्रेम कर सकते। हाँ प्रभु जी, तो हमें मतलब पर्सन, भगवान सब बोलते हैं भगवान इम्पर्सनल, मगर भगवान इज अ पर्सन, व्यक्ति हमारे साथ ही है और हमें इतना अटैचमेंट हो जाता है उनसे कि अगर हम कहीं भी जाते हैं तो भी हमें वही चिंता होती है कि भगवान घर पे अकेले है, ऐसे मतलब ऐसा हमारा भाव आता है, वो हम एक्सपीरियंस कर सकते हैं। सही बात है प्रभु जी। तो
जब हम भोग ऑफर करते हैं, कितने प्यार से हम ऑफर करते हैं कि भगवान, आई होप भगवान लाइक्स इट, डिफरेंट भोगस वी ऑफर एवरी डे। आई गो
और कभी-कभी ऐसा होता है कि अगर हम बाहर जाना होता है और भगवान के लिए हम तुरंत माइंड में विचार आता है कि हमारे भगवान के लिए हम क्या बनाएंगे कुछ, तो फिर ऐसा स्पेशल बना के रखते हैं कि नहीं अभी भगवान के लिए तो पहले बनाना है, फिर हम बाहर जाएंगे, ऐसा। तो वो भाव धीरे-धीरे आता है।
Exactly, that's what it clearly say, that then you are not seeing that deity made of material elements. You see a person in that deity. So that deity seva, constant serving with that great bhava and offering patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati. And then he accepts that. So then you develop that personal relationship with your deity, So how could that be idol worship? And these people who are ignorant, they fail to see the difference between idol worship and deity worship.
तो प्रभु जी जो मुल्ला जो डिबेट कर रहे हैं, तो वो मटेरियल बोलते, मगर मटेरियल जो एनर्जी वो भी तो भगवान ने बनाई है, तो वो भी हम उसको भी तो पूज ही सकते हैं ना प्रभु जी। तो ऐसे वो ऐसा मतलब उनको वो अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं है कि मटेरियल एनर्जी वो भगवान ने बनाई है। वो
that's why one of the example that Gaurachandra Babaji gave, that those who are neophyte completely and those advanced devotees, they when show this wonder in the world, and that's it is all made by Krishna and by the Supreme Lord, then the neophyte also develops that. At least he develops a curiosity. Who must have made all these gigantic things, It cannot be anyway spontaneous. Okay, Sharad Prabhuji, I'll invite you to share some of your. Yeah, thank you, Rakshmi Mataji. Sharad Prabhuji.
May I before Sharad?
Oh, please. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, yes, you just said about Sambandha Jnana. Yes, Prabhuji, with deity worship, we try to connect ourselves. Even though we don't have the feelings, at least we try to imitate and act. And slowly we do develop the faith. So our philosophy is so deep and so strong. Like even Acharya have given us Sambandha, Abhidheya and Prayojan for what we are doing, what we should do, and to whom we should worship. So it becomes easy, Prabhuji, on the spiritual path, and slowly we do upgrade ourselves also on this path, so which is not being seen in other religions, na?
Exactly.
So it's a
unique of our Vaishnava religion. See, deity, when we serve the deity every day, then we develop some kind of attachment, clearly.
Yes.
You cannot develop attachment with something that is made of matter. You develop attachment with some personal aspect of the Lord. Then only you can develop attachment.
Yes. And we do understand that there is Supreme Lord, and we don't get ahankar. We do feel that we are in, we should be in dasanudas bhav.
Exactly.
So it clarifies everything, Prabhuji. So I think there is more substance in our philosophy rather than anything else. Yes.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Prabhuji, I want to share one small incident which happened in last 3 months. Prabhuji, in the month of March, I have intense desire to have शालिग्राम at my home. मुझे चाहिए कि मुझे शालिग्राम जी चाहिए, मुझे शालिग्राम चाहिए. तो मगर मुझे मालूम नहीं था मैं कैसे लूंगी, कैसे आएगा, I don't know anything. मगर within 2 months हमारे ग्रुप में मेरे डिवोटी ने एक मैसेज डाला, भी शालिग्राम शिला चाहिए तो मुझे डायरेक्ट कांटेक्ट करे. तो मैंने तुरंत उनको कांटेक्ट किया और मैं पर्सनली मुंबई गई थी 1 दिन के लिए, तो उनसे मैंने कलेक्ट किया. तो जो दिल में जो भाव इतना, मगर मुझे वो चाहिए था तो और मिला. अभी वही उनका 1 महीने से सेवा कर रही हूँ, तो इतना अच्छा लग रहा है मुझे कि भगवान मेरा स्पिरिचुअल डिजायर बहुत जल्दी फुलफिल होती मेरी. प्रभु जी,
Krishna recognizes that, that your desire, but worshipping Shaligram Shila, there are strict standards there, and not everyone is qualified. At least I don't think I'm qualified, because बहुत ख्याल रखना पड़ता है शालिग्राम शिला सर्व करने के लिए. Sharad Prabhuji, would you like to share some of your things, views?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. We are talking of worship, deity worship. And if you remember, Jiva Goswami had said it very, very clearly that as a Grihastha, deity worship is a must. Everybody should worship the Lord at his home. There should be no doubt about it. And should also worship very nicely. One thing about the Shaligram Shila, one should not purchase it, buy it from the market or get it from somewhere. If it is gifted by somebody, maybe the Guru Maharaj or any Vaishnava, then it should be accepted. Otherwise, if you want to worship Shaligram Shila, don't think it is correct to purchase it from the market or from any shop and start worshipping. Then another thing about Shaligram Shila, like all the deities, you do a special ceremony, that is Pratishtha, but that is not applicable to Shaligram Shila. The Lord is already there, and there is no need for invocation of the Supreme Lord in that Shaligram Shila. And as Prabhuji said, Shaligram Shila worship is more difficult than worship of other forms. It is because there are a lot of rituals connected with it. It should be thought that way, it should be taken that way. Then we are talking about those who have been taking care of the deity at home. The Lord also does so many leelas with you in his form, in whatever form, corresponding to our own attitude or our own bhava. Like when many would agree with me, you'll find some days some part of the ornaments, something which you had definitely kept in a particular place, you find them missing, and you try do anything, you will not find them. But at a particular time, you will find them. How? What most of the devotees do, they just give a threatening to the deity, and you will find the thing is there. It has happened many times in our home also, not once or twice, many times. He also he also makes it a point to play with you, play games with you, like this, because we have not come up to that level that he will show himself in his transcendental form, because our eyes are not suitable for that. And the Lord knows that if he comes in his transcendental form, we will not be able to look at him because we are not purified enough, and we will get blinded. That's why he is not coming. And that means we have to have full faith that the Lord is there, Lord is looking after us, There is nobody who is more merciful than the Lord, and he will reciprocate proportionately as per our bhava. And that's why we have to improve our bhava, and that will happen by chanting only and nothing else. This is the only remedy, this is the only prescription for moving in this path. Then there is another very interesting story I want to tell you regarding the discussion we are having today regarding the deity form of the Lord and how the Muslims, they do not believe in that. My Guru Maharaj, once when he was traveling from India to US, he had a long halt in the Middle East. There he happened to have a discussion with someone who was a Muslim. It was like this, that person said that you people, you the Hindus in India, you worship the idols. Idols means you worship any form of God. Any form of God means you worship a stone also, a wood also, anything. My Guru Maharaj made it very clear to him that it is not so. We do not worship any wood or any stone. The form of the Lord, it is given in the Shastras. How his eyes are, how his nose, how are his ears, how is the face, how is the shoulders, how are the legs, hands, everything, all parts, how they should be, they are given in the Shastra. And that is what is carved out from the wood or from the stone. Then the prana pratishtha, that ceremony is carried out, then thereafter it is ready for worship. So this is the process. Then regarding the idea that the Lord is all pervasive, he has no form, my Guru Maharaj gave such an example to that person. He was taken aback and he had to believe it. What he said, he asked him, my Guru Maharaj asked that Muslim person, he said, do you believe in God? He said, yes. Then he asked, do you ask anything from him? He said, yes. Then he said, if you ask anything, does he give? He said, yes. Then my Guru Maharaj said, if he is giving after you have asked him, that means he is listening. His listening means he has got ears, he has got eyes, and that's why he is seeing you. So then how he can be without a form? Then he had to come out that in our religion, this is what is written and all that. Yes, they'll say what is given, but ultimately what is to be understood, that all those religions, they have come up only recently, and they are not developed like our Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma, and so many scriptures describing the Supreme Lord and many other things, they are not given there. That's why we should be more careful about discussing with them. This is how the thing should be. Then another very interesting thing I want to tell you today, like we have been told Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the origin of all the incarnations. That's why Krishna is supreme, and all other forms have emanated from him. That is very right. There is no doubt about this. But at the same time, we should think that any form of the Lord which are worshipped, like Lord Rama or Matsya, Kachapa, Varaha, or anything, there is no difference amongst them. There is non-difference at all. We should never think that we are worshipping the Supreme Lord Krishna and the other person is worshipping Lord Rama, the third person is worshipping so-and-so. That's why they are inferior, they do not know what is correct. It is not so. I'll give you the examples from the Shastras only and from authorities that will make sure to convey the point that there is no difference at all. If you read our Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Venugit, a verse comes where the gopis, what they are saying, Mrugayuriva Kapindram Vigdhaye Lubdha Dharma, like this verse is there. They are about Krishna only what they are saying. They are saying like a hunter, he cruelly shot the king of the monkeys, that is the Bali. He killed. Then he said, because he was conquered by a woman, he disfigured another woman who came to him with lusty desires. This is Surpanekha. Surpanekha, actually you may say it is given in the Ramayana that her ears, her nose was cut by the severed by Lakshmana only and not by Rama. And why the gopis are saying this here? And now what is saying here, this is also correct. It is given in Padma Purana. And as you know, these discrepancies, they are due to Kalpa Bheda. In different Kalpas, different types of stories take place. That's why. Like this, he also, the gopis are also saying that even after consuming the gifts of Bali Maharaj, he bound him up with ropes as if he were a crow like this. That means the gopis, they are not making any difference amongst them, amongst the various incarnations. They are the same. We should think they are the same. Another example I will give that is also very, very interesting. You must not have heard it. What happened when Krishna was very, very small? Krishna was taken by Yasoda Mata to Upananda's house, which was also in Braja. And as you know, at night when the children do not sleep, the mothers tell them small stories. And that's how Yasoda Mata was telling a story about Lord Rama only. And let us see what happened. In very, very brief, she was saying, that's why she says, Ramo Nama Bahubha, Ham Tad Avala Sita Ham Tad Bitur. Very briefly, I will tell. My child, in Treta Yuga, there was a king called Rama, and his wife's name was Sita. And by the order of his father, Sri Rama went to the forest with his wife for 14 years. And from their residence in Panchavati, Sitaji was kidnapped by Ravana. Now, when little Krishna, he heard this, he straight away jumped on the bed and he said, Lakshmana, Lakshmana, please bring my bow. I am going to kill Ravana and all that. That she remembered his Rama incarnation and he was ready to go out. Then Yasodamata told him, what are you talking? You think you are Lord Rama? He said, yes, yes, I am Lord Rama. I am so and so. He gave so many examples. He said, then Yashoda Mata said, you are a small little child, and when you see a cat outside, you run to me, and you are saying you are Rama and you are going to kill Ravana. You have killed Hiranyakashipu like this. So what I want to tell you, that even Lord Krishna doesn't make difference amongst the various incarnations. Even the gopis do not make any difference amongst the incarnations. We also should not make any difference amongst the incarnations. They are the same. Yes, we are worshipping a particular form. That is all right. There is no problem about that. Thank you, Prabhuji. It is already time. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Prabhuji, I have one request of you.
Yes.
Today's we are out of town, out of
yes.
time.
Yes.
But
yes.
Maybe subsequent classes, when you get a time, in the context of this deity worship, tell us the story. I heard, because you are from this Purushottam Kshetra, Bhuvaneshwar,
Yes.
I heard that the Lord Jagannath deity, that is made of special kind of wood, and every year they make fresh new new deities. Is that correct? Someday you can tell us the story about that.
No, not every year. Approximately every about 12 years or so.
I see. Okay. But the special wood has to be there, right? Not any other wood.
Yes. I'll
so someday when you have time,
yes,
tell us that story about that. Okay?
I'll do that. That is known as,
Thank you.
ceremony is known as Navakalaivaram.
No, Kalaivaram.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So now we are almost we are already exhausted all our time, allotted time. So I'm going to request if Sagar Prabhu is around to conclude the class.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my
Bol,
humble
Prabhuji.
obsession. Humble obsession. All go to Srila Prabhupada. Namaste Narasimhai. Namaste Narasimhai. Prahlad Dahini. Prahlad Dahini. Hiranyakasi Purvaksan. Hiranyakasi Purvaksan. Chilatankar Nathali. Chilatankar Nathali. Ito Narsingha, Parato Narsingha. Ito Narsingha, Parato Narsingha. Ito Yami, Ito Narsingha. Ito Yami, Ito Narsingha. Bhai Narsingha, Hriday Narsingha. Bhai Narsingha, Hriday Narsingha. Narasimhamadin Saranam Prapade. Narasimhamadin Saranam Prapade. Akala Kamala Bhare. Nakadbhuta Singham Dalita Hiranyakasipu Tanubringam. Kesavadhita Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Tava Kala Kamala Bhare. Nakadbhuta Singham Dhalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam. Kesavadhita Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय, भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, चारु प्रभु की जय, शरद प्रभु की जय, गुरुदेव की जय, all assembled devotee की जय। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। सर प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम।
Thank you very much, Sagar Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. All glory to Srila Prabhupada, all glory to Srila Bhagavatam, all glory to the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, all glory to all the Vaishnavas around the world. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So tomorrow we will do lesson 17. And with that, my classes will be over. And the next weekend onwards, Sharad Prabhuji is going to give series of classes, lessons. Lesson 18 through all the way to lesson 33 will be delivered by Sharad Prabhuji. So you'll have some wonderful experience of that with his vast knowledge. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam to Sharad Prabhuji.
Pranam. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Sharad Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Sharad Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you, Sharad Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Nitya Sakhi Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Take care. Yeah. Hari Bol.